challenges, in our opinion, seem to have overwhelmed our security institutions.
The governors are supposed to be the state security officers of their state.
There is need for us to at least engage the traditional rulers.
We need to do something about our porous borders.
We have to own it from the unit level to the ward level to the local government to state.
Mr. President, the importance of today for us is for us to take action.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
How strategic a partnership was this arrangement?
National Carrier Project still under consideration as Senate Committee on Aviation weighs partnership with Ethiopian Airliner.
I would like to know why we have two DJs here.
And leadership tussle at Nat'l Kaduna worries Senate. Welcome to Inside the Senate, your window into activities in the Senate wing of the National Assembly. Budget defense got interesting in the Senate last week when two rival leaderships of a government agency presented themselves before a Senate committee for the exercise. How did the committee resolve this matter? Details in the course of our program. Other reports in this episode of Inside the Senate include the meeting between the Committee on Aviation and stakeholders in the aviation sector, where the involvement of Ethiopian Airliner in the nation's air carrier project was discussed. These reports alongside others form our package for this week. Sit back as the program continues in a moment.
The Senate will send a message to the President
to reap opportunities from that agreement.
Raise a matter of urgent public importance, and we are aware that when this particular motion comes up
for a longer term development, arise to second the motion.
Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Thanks for being with us. With plenary on hold, committees have ample time to attend to issues around agencies that they oversight. The Committee on Aviation hosted stakeholders in the aviation industry to an interactive session on Wednesday, the 26th of October 2022. In another committee room, the Committee on Science, Technology and Innovation also hosted the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute, NBRRI, where building collapse was discussed. Let's take details of these two reports as compiled and presented from our studio. Do stay tuned.
To rub minds on how to move the industry.
When the Senate Committee on Aviation met with the Minister of Aviation and other stakeholders in the sector, the new chairman, Senator Biodun Olijimi, spoke on the objective of the interactive session.
This session is specifically scheduled for the drivers in the aviation sector to rub minds on how to move the industry to a greater height that will culminate in the socio-economic growth of Nigeria.
Responding, the Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, disclosed a roadmap developed by the ministry in 2015 for development in the following areas: establishment of a national carrier, concession of airports, as well as establishment of an aviation and aerospace university, amongst others.
I'm happy to announce that we've gone very far in all of these items, plus much more. We decided on purpose, distinguished senators, to go through the PPP arrangement to achieve nearly all of the roadmap items.
According to him, one of the components for the establishment of a national carrier, Air Nigeria, is the involvement of Ethiopian Airlines as a strategic partner.
How strategic a partnership was this arrangement? Because you must have considered some factors before bringing in Ethiopian Airlines.
Strategically speaking, any coming together that will produce the desired result and goal is strategic. I'm not speaking on Ethiopian Airlines. I'm speaking on the consortium itself together. All of the members of the consortium are people that we went through due diligence to ensure that they're people that can add value and are capable and able of doing the business, and that is the job of ICRC and the delivery team, which included Honorable Attorney General of the Federation's Office, Office of the Federal Minister for Finance, Budget and National Planning, Aviation, and the rest of it.
Even then, members of the Airline Operators of Nigeria, AON, opposed the plan.
We are vehemently opposed to Ethiopia being part of this. If Ethiopia is allowed to be part of this, everything they make in the local balance, all of them are going to Ethiopia. Everything they made on over 200 bars, all of them are going to Ethiopia. There will be a strain, a huge strain on our foreign reserves.
When we reviewed the business case that was provided by Ethiopian Airlines, premised on which they were chosen as a preferred bidder, it is evident that what Ethiopian Airline has decided to do, taking advantage of a single African air traffic market, is to enter into the Nigerian market, use predatory pricing to the detriment of the domestic carriers. If this happens, a 6-month period of price wars, fair wars in a domestic market would lead to the liquidation of several carriers domestically.
If you sit down and take the roll call of airlines that have come on board in the last 25 years and have gone under, you will definitely dog the courage of those who are still investing in the industry. All of us are working in the overall interest of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and if we are so doing, it will not be difficult for us to find a thin line where we can all meet.
Consequently, the committee resolved to hold a tripartite meeting involving it, the ministry, and airline operators of Nigeria to fashion out ways of resolving the problem. Meanwhile, during the meeting between the Committee on Science, Technology and Innovation and the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute, NBRRI, several issues came up for discussion, including the failure of the institute to publicize its research findings as an intervention against buildings collapse, alongside other infrastructural deficits in Nigeria.
The issue of housing collapses, which we still have in quantum almost every year. We see houses collapsing everywhere. So if you have such results, how come those results are not in the field? Why are they not in the market? Why are private sector people not deriving some benefit from such research results?
Our findings have been made available to SON. We were able to bring out our findings to them, letting them know that the material we have been tested are low quality material, and there is a need for them to ensure that they improve as far as blocking this low standard material is concerned.
The rising cost of building materials occasioned by high cost of cement was also an issue, of which the DG notified that they are researching into alternatives in the use of volcanic wastes found in large deposits in parts of Plateau State.
Volcanic wastes are this stone that people use to clean their leg. It's called scoria. It's light and perforated. This light stone people use in cleaning their leg. We have quite a lot of deposit in Mangu in Plateau State, Keran in particular. When you take these perforated scoria stones, you grind them into powdery form, we add some 1 or 2 adhesive on it, it becomes pozzolanic in nature. When I mean pozzolanic, it has some oxides that can behave like cement when lime and cement components are added to it.
Like researching into a possible alternative to cement in building construction, a committee member also suggested an alternative to bitumen in road construction.
The major problem we have, is the problem of road network. So if we have an alternative to bitumen, some of the areas, like in the rural areas, you don't even need bitumen for some of those roads. Those are the things we will need you to come up with.
Those were reports from our committee rooms. Let's now take a break for the Senate Notebook. More reports coming up afterwards. Don't go away.
The Legislative Chamber is a revered hall used by parliamentarians across the world to enact laws, deliberate on issues and problems of constituents with a view to profiling solutions. It is a stage where legislative deliberations and actions are taken by representatives of the people to address the yearnings and aspirations of the citizenry. Legislators are protected from prosecution on account of remarks made in the chamber.
Welcome back. With the Senate plenary suspended for the budget defense exercise, committees hosted ministries, departments and agencies as they deliberated over the performance of the 2022 budget as well as the projections for the next one. Let's take a report of some committee meetings as compiled and presented from our studio.
Overhead costs, similarly,
the National Assembly Service Commission was before the Committee on Establishment. Committee Chairman Senator Ibrahim Shekarau opened the meeting with this call to the Chairman, National Assembly Service Commission, Alhaji Ahmed Kadi Amshi.
Let's hear you on the performance of the 2022 budget so far.
In a response, Alhaji Amshi gave the performance of some of the components of their 2022 budget as follows. Personnel cost, 1.6 billion naira, out of which 1.2 billion naira is released with 99% expended. Overhead cost, 1.9 billion naira, out of which 1.4 billion naira released with 93% expended, and capital expenditure, 4.2 billion naira, out of which 4 billion naira was released for building projects and the balance for routine activities of the Commission. He revealed that their finances come from the National Assembly on a monthly basis and gave the average of amounts released alongside the implication.
Average allocation per month is 133 million naira. This somehow slightly affects our activities because sometimes we have to wait until the end of the year before we have enough money to do certain activities.
He also lamented underfunding, which he said has led to indebtedness to legislative aides of the 7th Assembly, a development that has resulted into legal issues and into more expenditure in the form of legal fees. While the 2023 proposal was presented to the committee in a document, the committee promised to look into all issues raised and come up with a report for the Senate plenary.
I would like to know why we have two DGs here.
Tuesday, the 25th of October 2022, the Committee on Science, Technology and Innovation hosted the management of the Nigerian Institute for Trypanosomiasis and Onchocerciasis Research, Nat'l, Kaduna. At the commencement of the exercise, however, two personalities, Dr. Felicia Enwezo and Dr. Joseph Ajakaye, presented themselves for the exercise. The committee chairman reacted to this.
This committee has not been communicated by the ministry any change in the administration of Nat'l Kaduna. I would like to know why we have two DGs here.
He called one of my staff in my office.
Responding, Dr. Felicia disclosed that an old board for who the chairman of the governing council, Honorable Shehu Haruna Lambu, appointed Dr. Ajakaye as head, was sacked before the end of their tenure, leading to her appointment as secretary to a new board appointed by the president and inaugurated by the Ministry of Science and Technology on the 14th of October 2022. As a result, the sacked board went to court and secured a ruling reinstating them, following which they removed her on allegation of insubordination, even without the ministry vacating her appointment letter.
And I got across to the ministry said no, that they are aware of the case, that it is them that the Lambu board took to court, that they also have the judgment, that I should stay action, I should not convene any meeting. Then the ministry then wrote to me again the second time that I should not have any communication with them, that my activity remains being regulated by the new board. What then followed was on 21st, on Sunday before the 21st, what is 18th or thereabout, he called one of my staff in my office to say that he should go to the Kawo Park and collect a letter for me. He used the unions to go and collect the letter from Kawo Park. And they came to the office and threw it there on the table. That was on the 20th. Then I traveled. On the 19th, I traveled on the 20th for Abuja. I was in Abuja, so 21st, he came. I was not around on official duty. And then with the unions, the boardroom was locked. With the unions there, they broke the boardroom open. They changed the keys. And then they held their meeting. And there, he suspended me, that for dismissal from service. And then appointed him as the next overseeing DG.
The other DG, Dr. Joseph Ajakaye, disclosed that after the court ruling, they got clarification from the legal unit of the institute.
I remember that when that meeting came up, she called an emergency meeting and she told us that she just received a mail of a declarative judgment, court judgment.
It doesn't matter.
For the so what she said is, what are we to do? And we said, since this is a court matter, we said we are not learned men. This thing has to do with court. We have legal unit. Let us call legal unit.
Is that agency under which ministry? Is it not under Ministry of Science and Technology?
It's under Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation.
So you think you get a court judgment, an agency will immediately implement court judgment without referring to the ministry?
It's what we agreed was that, all right, fine, let us call our legal person. They called the legal unit, and the legal unit, yes, it is good since we want her own, his own learned contribution. It is good that we must consult with the ministry. But one thing he knows, and it is sure that he advised us, is that this is a court declarative judgment. And being a declarative judgment, we are bound to obey it.
You're not the one that is bound, it's the ministry that is bound, not you. It's the ministry that is bound to obey it, not you. You, the acting overseeing DG.
It is the Council of Right Honorable Lambu.
Not the ministry.
Not the ministry.
The chairman responded to this.
This is a constituted body, and we cannot entertain any meeting with anybody that is an illegal overseeing DG of any agency.
Okay.
It is the ministry that will introduce the heads of agencies to us.
Okay.
Not you who come here to introduce yourself.
All right.
And from what she said, you can see very clearly that this is pure intimidation.
The committee then resolved to communicate with the supervising ministry in charge of the institute to get clarification on which of the DJs the committee should work with.
Owner representing the chairman of the House.
Similarly, the
Committee.
Senate and House of Representatives Joint Committee on Federal Capital Territory hosted the Minister of FCT, Muhammad Musa Bello, recently on the 2022 budget of the FCT. In his welcome address, the committee chairman, Senator Smart Adeyemi, acknowledged the lateness of the budget, even while expressing the committee's commitment to adding value to the development of the territory.
Let me assure you that I'll do all I can to make sure with my colleagues we effect a change, no matter how small we can.
In a presentation, the FCT Minister, Mr. Muhammad Musa Bello, disclosed that the FCT administration is funded by 1% of the 52.68% allocated to the federal government from the Federation's account, alongside internally generated revenues operations as well as other sources contained in the revenues fiscal framework. For 2022, he added, the FCT was appropriated a total of 59 billion naira, out of which 19 billion naira has been released, with the promise that the balance would be released by the end of the year. He also disclosed that out of the 2023 federal budget, the FCT has been appropriated 13.5 billion naira. In continuation, the minister spoke of areas of emphasis in the budget.
Emphasis, with your support, will continue to be done on major infrastructure road projects, the rail projects, and now the Greater Abuja water project that is ongoing.
Some committee members used the opportunity to draw the minister's attention to what they observed about the city of Abuja.
Abuja is very, very dirty, extremely. There are places that wanted you people to take note of, to make sure that you control all the flow of human beings there. There are armed robbers hiding under the pretext of selling.
I just imagine that one day will just look like Dubai, some bit of it. But the way the central area land was allocated before your time and the way it was handled has messed up the whole place. So the beauty of Abuja, which starts from that central area, is no longer there. So a conscious effort should be made. And I thought this joint session would have been an opportunity for you to request for some enabling laws to see how we can develop the central area. So we can have some bit of towers and beauty of the city when people come around, while we try to cover our shortcomings in the villages for now.
A member added that 1% of the federal government allocation for FCTA from the Federation's account is inadequate for the task ahead of the territory.
The revenue being allocated, that's 1% of the federal allocation, I don't think we'll be surprised. Relying only on the 1% of the that's federal government allocation of 52%. I think we better widen to get the entire 100% of the federation allocation. I think that will, give you a very ample opportunity of developing Abuja in a very better way.
The chairman also received kudos for adopting actions that insulated the FCT from the recent flooding in parts of Nigeria.
We must also commend you for the recent flooding in the FCT. You took a very bold step by removing all the illegal structures on waterways and flood corridors. When states around FCT like Kogi, Benue are experiencing flood, we have not recorded a single flooding in Abuja. It's worth commending.
Even then, a question came up on the development of a parcel of land for which funds have been allocated.
You recall that in the night assembly, we have allocations in Maitama 2, right? When can we mobilize to site and start building there?
Our plan is to commence work on the largest district that we opened as an administration. That's a district called Maitama 2. We've put a substantial, reasonable amount in the budget that you are now looking at, and it's all intended to provide enough resources that can mobilize the contractors to site.
At the end, the committee promised to prepare a report on all submissions made for presentation to Senate plenary for more legislative action.
Those were reports from the budget defense exercise carried out by Senate committees. Our profile segment is next. Stand by for our Senator of the Week.
Senator Cleopas Moses was born on the 19th of November 1972. He represents Bayelsa Central Senatorial District under PDP. He attended primary and secondary schools in Koluma in Bayelsa State for his first school leaving certificate and West African School Certificate, WASC. At the tertiary level, Senator Cleopas Moses attended River State University of Science and Technology, Port Harcourt, for a Bachelor of Science degree in Secretarial Administration. He also attended Niger Delta University, Amasoma, for his Master of Science in Management. He joined politics and won a by-election to the Senate held on the 5th of December 2020 to replace Senator Diri Doye as a result of a vacuum created by his elevation to the position of Governor of Bayelsa State. His legislative interests include maritime security, education, and agriculture.
With this, we end this week's edition of Inside the Senate. As the recess from plenary continues, Inside the Senate will continue to bring you reports from the committee rooms where budget defense is ongoing. Keep watching the program on NTA Parliament even as you follow us on our social media platforms and drop your comments and feedback for follow-up action. Enjoy the rest of your day.